Good afternoon. The Israeli president has today met students at a Jewish school in Sydney's eastern suburbs. Isaac Herzog's trip continues to be surrounded by tight security, with thousands protesting his four-day visit. We'll have more on those demonstrations in a moment. First, here's Chief Reporter Chris Reason.
Good afternoon. Well, back to its lockdown state now, but this morning this Jewish school was swarming with police and private security, an indication of the concern that our state and national agencies have for the safety of the Israeli president.
Sydney has rarely seen security at this level. Dozens of outrider motorcycles, pursuit cars, a helicopter, officers on patrol with long-arm rifles, and this for a school visit. Isaac Herzog taking time to meet with some of the 1,500 students at the Mariah War Memorial College in Sydney's eastern suburbs, one of the oldest and biggest Jewish schools in the city.
Hello everybody, we're so happy to be here in your school.
Last night the President attended the keynote event of his Australian tour, billed as an evening of light and solidarity at the International Convention Centre, again accusing Australia of surging anti-Semitism in the lead-up to the Bondi massacre.
And no one will deter us. No one. The attacks on college campuses, the escalating rhetoric and shrieking silence. That was the prelude to Bondi. We've come here not simply to tell you that we are with you, but to show you that we are with you.
Prime Minister Albanese today also doubling down on the controversial decision to invite the President.
I will not, as a number of the crossbenchers have suggested, walk away from my support for his presence here.
This afternoon, snipers and more security at Government House for a meet and greet with first responders from Bondi. A private event, no journalists or cameras invited. In fact, journalists have been barred from all events today and tonight. The Israeli president mostly remaining hidden from public view today.
This afternoon, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is expected to meet with Mr Herzog at a private community event in Sydney before he heads to Canberra tomorrow and then to Melbourne on Thursday. Back to you.
Chris Reason. Police are defending their actions after a protest against the Israeli president's visit turned violent in Sydney CBD. Dozens of people were arrested, some were beaten, shoved and pepper sprayed. The Palestine Action Group has described it as sickening state violence.
Some of those police officers were emboldened, were supercharged, had violence in their blood and their minds, and they pursued people.
The New South Wales Police were put in an impossible position.
We wanted a respectful and responsible protest. That's not what we got last night.
All up, 27 protesters were taken into custody. At least 10 of them are accused of assaulting officers. Susan Lee is still standing after today's meeting of the Liberal Party Room, but her days as opposition leader may be numbered. Let's go live this afternoon to Josh Martin, who's at Parliament House. Josh, it is speculated now that Angus Taylor will quit the front bench tomorrow.
Hugh, that is anticipated, but it remains unclear if the Shadow Defence Minister has the numbers to topple Susan Lee as Liberal leader. In this morning's meeting, Senator Jane Hume asked leader Susan Lee what she would do to turn the Liberals' fortunes around, to which Ms Lee said focus on policy and stop the disunity. Angus Taylor's inability to sway a majority of his party room so far was also seized on by the Treasurer Jim Chalmers in question time this afternoon.
The policies we're putting out there, the way we're selling them, the communication we're having with the Australian people is part of the problem. It isn't all at the feet of one person, the leader of our party.
Are you still backing Susan Lee?
Well, there's no challenge. So I'm the Shadow Attorney General. Of course I support Susan Lee.
If Angus Taylor wants to run, should he stand aside from the Shadow Ministry?
Well, that's the Westminster Convention.
We saw in the election campaign and we've seen in the last few days that the member for Hume is not very good with numbers. Mr Speaker, we've seen that again this week. They are divided, they are divisive.
And Josh, familiar faces turned up in Canberra to weigh in on the saga.
Hugh, Malcolm Turnbull can't stay away. He fronted a press conference on hydropower in Parliament, but all of the questions to the former Prime Minister were on the Liberal leadership power struggle and the future of the coalition, which is now running third in the polls behind Labor and One Nation.
If Angus wants to be leader of the Liberal Party, he should stand up and say so, and say why.
Is he fit to be leader? You've worked with him. Do you think he has the skills to lead the opposition and the country?
He is absolutely fit to be leader, because the only qualification for being leader of the opposition is to be member of the House of Representatives.
Malcolm Turnbull. I remember a certain gentleman talking about, that you shouldn't be a bitter ghost. I don't know. The only thing he's missing down there in the courtyard is a sheet over his head.
The old firm back together there, Hugh, and Turnbull says the Liberals have run off to La La Land and they may have a new leader within days.
OK, Josh Martin in Canberra, thank you. The federal government has apologised to the families of methanol poisoning victims Holly Bowles and Bianca Jones, admitting authorities failed them in their pursuit of justice. As Nick McCallum reports, the parents are demanding the government steps up.
The fathers of the two 19-year-olds have just spoken to the media and accepted the now multiple apologies from the government. But they still don't know why they were not told 10 people were fined $185 each for destroying evidence in the case of Bianca and Holly's poisoning. They want the government to exert pressure on authorities in Laos for more information.
We don't know whether the Department of Foreign Affairs had information and hadn't passed it on, or they didn't know this current information.
I think the government needs to exert whatever pressure they can to get some leverage, to get an outcome that our girls deserve.
Yesterday, Foreign Minister Penny Wong released a statement saying the government is doing everything it can, but last night she rang the families to apologise in person. And her department also apologised unreservedly for the failure to keep the families fully informed. The department prides itself in its commitment to consular service. On this occasion, we fell short of our aspiration.
And the events of the past 24 hours have added to the heartbreak of their families. The Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade has apologised unreservedly for their failure to ensure that the families were informed, and that is an entirely appropriate thing for them to do.
The families say they'll continue pressuring the government until they get justice for the two women.
Paul Kadak joins us now with a check on Sydney's weather. And Paul, it's been a nice-looking summer's day.
Yeah, Hugh, with a bit more sunshine and a bit less humidity. Sydney skies serving up a passing parade of partly cloudy but still plenty of blue, which got the heat rising earlier today. The city reaching its top of 29 degrees around 3:30 with some easterly breezes. Winds staying light in the west, getting to 31 degrees just after 3. This afternoon there are warnings in place for severe thunderstorms, possible hail and damaging winds for parts of the Blue Mountains, central and southern tablelands, central west and southwest, with very dangerous supercell storms detected inland from the south coast around Braidwood. Hugh, the latest on that and how things are looking for tomorrow is coming up.
See you then, Paul. Thank you.